It was 15 years. This government, which should be representative of 170 million people, was run by a whim of one person. Nobody else mattered. In Bangla, we call Chortantro. She has created more disappointed, or they are more heartbroken by the ouster of Hasina than even the Aumi League followers.
Today we have Shafiqul Alam, the press secretary of the interim government of Bangladesh, led by Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Mr. Alam, it's an absolute privilege and honor to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
As you must have known that you are our first ever guest at the Centrist Nation platform.
Thank you.
Let's start a conversation on misinformation. Seems like Bangladesh is flooded with misinformation and you are a target of it. You have misinformation like coming from outside of Bangladesh via some of the Indian media, and then you have a lot of it coming from famous YouTubers. How does it feel to be in the center of all of these?
They are trying to make our job difficult. We know what we have to do. We are just sending the right news to the people, to the social media, to the Indian audience. We are just trying to tell our story. And once you can tell it convincingly that this is what is happening here, this is what it's all about, then I think slowly it's like a misinformation like impacts you all of a sudden. But once you send out the real information, the truth out there, it impacts slowly. But I can tell you, like now we can see that people really know what was a misinformation and what is the truth.
Not.
And we have seen like there are two major sources of this misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
One is the Indian press. Indian press, they are trying to tell the story that this nation has been overtaken by some Islamists, some Talibanized young man, or the Hizbut Tahrir guy. Like this is, we know what kind of stories they want to sell. Like they are still trying to tell the world that this country is still there are so many Islamists out there, and they are a serious threat to the Indian security. This is a nonsense. This is pure nonsense. They are trying to, and even some of the top Indian commentators are trying to tell these stories. And another source of this misinformation is the party of the ousted dictator, Sheikh Hasina's party, Aumi League. And their guys are trying to say that all sorts of every day you would see, even today as I was coming to this place, I saw, I would say, misinformation spread from the Facebook page of the Bangladesh Aumi League. And what we are doing, we say, tell our story. We say that this is what has happened, and we try to be open. I think if you are transparent, if you are open, and sooner or later people know that what kind of government it is and what kind of mass uprising it was.
Mr. Alam, we'll get back to a few of the points that you have mentioned, but before that, I'd like to know, since we talked about the Indian media, what do you think explains the obsession that Indian media has about Bangladesh?
I don't know, there is a funny story. It's some say that they were more disappointed, or they are more heartbroken by the ouster of Hasina than even the Aumi League followers. All of a sudden, they couldn't even believe that Hasina could be. They were living in a make-believe world, and they thought that Hasina, for years, they tried to sell the idea that Hasina was popular, and they believed their own lies. That's their problem. And now that Hasina has been ousted in Bangladesh, one of the history's unprecedented mass uprising, it's a revolution, and they cannot take this truth. This is their failure. What we have done, we have asked them to come to Bangladesh. Send your reporters here. Come here. Or even you try to set up a bureau here. See for yourself what has happened here. And now that even a lot of commissions, we have set up several commissions, they are coming up with their findings, how corrupt, how brutal this regime was. Some of them are waking up to the horrors of Hasina's misdeeds over the last 15 years. I think it's a slow reality, but it's going to dawn on them. No worries.
Okay. So when we talk about misunderstanding, in a sentence, if you have to say that, what do you think went wrong for India to misunderstand Bangladesh totally?
They wanted to, I think, like from Indian media and some of the many of the Indian commentators, they only believed in Awami League. They thought here is the country where only Awami League matters. Nobody else actually mattered to them. There are like massive like protests. There were I'm sure that the Indian commentators knew very well what Hasina was doing here, like how many people she was actually disappearing, her security forces was killing or disappearing. They knew it, and also they knew how corrupt this regime was, but they turned a blind eye here. And I think that's why they all of a sudden they try to tell us that they are caught by surprise. But it was meant to happen. Like the kind of corrupt kleptocracy that Hasina has created, that like in Bangla we call Chortantro, she has created. Like they never realized it. They never like fathomed it, like what kind of government it was. They thought like Hasina is going to stay like like what Hasina used to say until 2041 or until her death, and then they are going to deal with the next reality, whatever comes. But right now, I think this mass uprising caught them by surprise. And it's not that this is just uprising which happened only in a couple of cities or in Dhaka. It happened everywhere, in every campus, every major college, university, schools, every young kids join this. Even some of the grandmothers, some of the middle-aged wives, they were on the streets. And that's why they couldn't take this truth. That's maybe.
Mr. Alam, on this matter, I have two questions. The first one is that we saw a senior delegate from India came. So what did you guys discuss with that delegation?
I think it was a very fruitful discussion, happening in a very cordial atmosphere. And obviously, since India is our biggest neighbor, we want to improve relationship with India. We want to take it to a new height. And obviously, we have said that obviously this relationship should be based on equity, fairness, and respect. And I think India also, we saw some similar stand from India. They are also willing to like take this relationship forward. I think like it's like India is growing. You know, India is a huge economy. India is a growing economy, and obviously we want to have good economic cooperation with India. If India could be a very good market for our garments, for many of our products. So it's a next door, and it's quite easy to export goods to India. So it's in our interest to have good relationship with India. We share quite a lot of rivers with India. We also have like historical, linguistic, cultural, and people-to-people connections. So obviously, our interest is to like have good relationship with India, and we can see the similar move from India. That's a good sign.
We have seen you appear on the Indian media in the last few weeks. What are some of the criticisms you have or feedback for the Indian media?
Like they don't know what actually happened here, or maybe they don't want to know. That's the problem. We are asking them, we are requesting, okay, send your people here. It doesn't cost much. They can easily send their reporters to Dhaka, to whatever places. Like they are like harping on the same thing. And they are trying to say that a massive, unprecedented scale, like there is anti-minority violence happening in here. And what we are trying to tell them, come and see for yourself. We don't say that this hasn't happened. We say that some isolated cases like anti-Hindu violence has happened. And we are quite transparent about it. We have given figures of people who have been arrested over this violence. We have also given like published the number of cases filed over this, but they don't want to live. But they are trying to tell the world a genocide is happening in Bangladesh, or a situation in Bangladesh can be compared to the situation in Germany in 1938. This is pure utter nonsense, and we are trying to tell them to come and see for yourself. But if you just shut your mouth, shut your eyes and shut your ears, how can I tell your story? And honestly, they live in their make-believe world. They believe in their lies, and that they have been doing it for ages.
So you're trying to say it basically like the three monkeys.
Yes, yes, and but still we think like if there is a engagement from our part, we try to be transparent. We tell our story. We try to engage with every Indian media, irrespective of their political affiliation. We try to tell our story. This is our story, and we invited quite a lot of. And good thing is that some of them have already sent their people to Bangladesh, sent their journalists. And what we have done at the press wing, I lead the press wing as a press secretary. We created a WhatsApp page. We send all our, for Indian journalists who cover Bangladesh. We send all our stories, all our press statement to the Indians. Whatever happened here, we try to ensure greater transparency. They can see what is happening. And believe me, some of them are telling us privately that, okay, we didn't know that Hasina did this and that. They lived in a make-believe world. They, again, I'm saying they just believe in their lies. That's their problem. But I think things are changing too fast, and they are waking up to the new reality in Bangladesh. It's a new Bangladesh. I hope there is a 5-stage of grief. They are, I think, in the 4th stage. Acceptance will soon come. Don't worry.
Mr. Alam, there's this another question that I asked, that is, like any sort of allegations related to corruption within your government or the students or something, because we have seen in social media few things have been continuously on trending, and corruption is one of them.
We invite local media, we invite international media, we invite top YouTubers, come up with evidence. Tell us what's like, if we have committed any corruption, tell us. We'll be happy to deal with it. Will be like Professor Yunus invited all the top editors and tell them to criticize the government. If we made mistake, don't hesitate, because we see you as a partner. And if you are in a government, it makes you blind. You only see certain truth. Other truths got missing. So what we are asking newspapers or the free media, come, and if you find any evidence of corruption, just let us know. But so far, I would say we haven't got any accusation or even allegation of corruption against any of the advisors or the secretaries or the bureaucracy. We are trying. Obviously, we inherited a broken system. Some system needs to be fixed. It takes time. It takes quite a lot of time. But we are trying hard. We are doing it.
Mr. Alam, where does things stand with Sheikh Hasina, and any discussion about the repatriation of her from India?
You have seen, like, we have sent a note verbal to India. We obviously want her to be extradited. Therefore, extradition, we have an extradition treaty with India. But this extradition, if you want to extradite someone, some legal step has to be taken first. Young students and people were killed. And also in the last 15 years of her power, what she has done, like some 5 to 6 million opposition activists were charged with fake cases, fake violence cases, and their life were made miserable. Their boys and girls and their family members couldn't even make application for government jobs. They were denied like access to government jobs. And they're like, she created a brutal dictatorship which eventually devoured her. Like and also it's a corrupt country. Like she made it like enormously corrupt. You have seen the white paper committee led by Professor Dr. Devopriyo. Some $16 billion were siphoned off from this country. We are not a rich country. $16 billion is a phenomenal amount of money. Like you can, for 16 billion in 1 year's money, you can create a Dhaka-Chittagong fast lane or a bullet train service that can transform the whole economy.
Mr. Alam, we have come to the end of our conversation. I have one last question for you. It's a lengthy one. Bangladesh will have an election at some point in the future, and misinformation could play a damaging role there. What are your preparations about that? And secondly, how can we ensure that misinformation and disinformation does not ruin Bangladesh's upcoming free and fair election after a long while?
I don't think like misinformation or disinformation can make any difference here. Like obviously they can, but it's like if you are transparent and if you are open, and if your Bangladeshi society is a very amazingly open society, no misinformation can do anything. So if it's not like a very shut, very closed society where information isn't available, so you can like misinform people and can create social instability. It doesn't happen that way. Obviously, we are doing our best. We have created a facts page. We also invite political parties. They also have their own responsibility. They should like step up their efforts. We also invite all the fact checkers, all this, they also do more. And even we asked some of the international agents, some of the funding agencies to fund directly to the Bangladeshi newspaper so that they can create fact check units in every newspaper, every TV stations. They are well equipped to do this because it requires some kind of journalism to fight misinformation. So as we go to the election, I think like we are getting prepared for to fight this kind of menace. And you can be guaranteed we will have the best election in the country's history.
Thank you, Mr. Alam. It was a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you very much.